Well, 2022 has come to an end, which means it's time to look back and see how this year went. And to do that, I've put together a list of my top 10 favorite finds of 2022. I do a video like this at the end of each year. You guys seem to like them, and it gives me a chance to look back and kind of reflect on how the year went and relive some of my favorite finds that I've had, so I hope you all enjoy. First up, coming in at the number 10 spot was an item I found at a community-wide garage sale. Just sitting there on a table was a brand new, in-the-box GameCube sound system. Now, I love finding anything retro gaming related. You know, it's a great seller over on eBay, and it's the thing that got me started on my eBay journey. But to see something that is brand new in the box and sealed is something really special, especially nowadays. This thing was sitting there on the table, nobody was touching it, and it was only $5. So obviously, I ended up buying it, and I put it up at auction on eBay, and it sold in a week for $250. Moving on to the number 9 spot was not just one item, it was a group of items. In fact, it was a large group of items that I found at a thrift store. I walked into this thrift store, and just sitting there in this huge pile was a lot of biking or cycling accessories. I've talked about it before on my channel. Cycling stuff sells extremely well for me, especially during the spring and summer months. So to see all of these little bike computers and cycling pieces of clothing sitting there on the shelf, I couldn't believe my eyes. I ended up buying pretty much everything that was there on the shelves. I paid between like $5 and $10 per item, and it ended up being over a $3,000 haul, so pretty good. Now, coming in at the number 8 spot is an item that I actually still have in my possession. It's one of a few items on this list that I still have in my possession because I like them so much. And it's actually on the wall behind me right here. There it is right here. This is our number 8 spot, this all over print Nike sweatshirt. This thing is pretty rad. I mean, look at it. How could you not want to pick that up? And it turns out that this ended up being a really rare piece. Now, I ended up finding this thing at a garage sale, and what's even crazier is that it was my local community garage sale, but even crazier than that is I found this thing at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And not only did I pick up this piece, I actually picked up this Wile E. Coyote piece right here as well. It's another one that I have on my wall because I like it a lot. But this piece by itself is extremely rare. I had so many people reach out to me asking to buy this thing when they see it on my wall in like my Whatnot streams or in my videos and stuff. Everybody loves this piece. It's something that I haven't put up for sale yet, but if I do, it's probably something that's worth around the $300 to $400 mark. So that's just an awesome score right there, and that's why it comes in at the number 8 spot. And now moving on to the number 7 spot is the first toy lot of this video. You guys know I love finding retro toys, and this is a lot of toys that I ended up finding at a highway sale. This was another late in the day sale. I couldn't believe all this stuff was still sitting there and no other resellers had bought it yet because there were plenty of them out. It was like 4 o'clock. I had like 2 sales left in me, and I walk up and there's this huge lot of vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joes just sitting there ready for the picking. It's no secret that toys are some of my favorite things to source. They're super nostalgic, they're fun to sort through, they're fun to list, they're fun to take pictures of. They're just one of those things that I like to resell because they're so fun. Now, this specific lot was filled with a bunch of, lower to medium end figures in like the $10 to $20 range, but there were a few figures in there worth like the $60, $70, and there was one giant Krang figure from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that was worth $250. And as of today, all of the high-end pieces that I got are already sold. They've all been moved, but I still do have a few of the lower end figures still in my inventory. Coming in at number 6 is potentially the single most profitable item I have ever found as a reseller. This was another highway sale pickup. I went to a bunch of highway sales this summer and absolutely loved it, so I'll probably end up doing a lot more of those here in the future. But at this specific stop, I walked into this building and it was chock full of antiques. It was a bunch of pottery and statues and stuff that I'm really not super familiar with. I don't deal a ton in that world of reselling, but I know some of it can have some crazy value. And there was one piece that just stuck out to me, and I ended up pulling the trigger on it. I bought it for $65, didn't have cell phone service at the time. I just bought it on a whim because I felt like it was just something that had value, and what a good buy that it turned out to be. I mean, this thing is crazy. The piece that I bought was a pottery piece. It was signed on the bottom by Maria Antonita Roybal, and after doing a bunch of research on it, once I got cell phone service again, I found out that they are pretty prominent Native American potters that have a relatively large following, and their stuff can go for a pretty penny. Now, as of the time of me filming this, I still have not sold this piece yet. I still haven't even listed this piece yet anywhere. It's probably something that I'll send off to an auction house in the future, but I have sent pictures off to experts who are way more knowledgeable in this field than I am, and the general consensus is, yes, this is a legit piece, and it is a rare piece because those two people don't have many pieces that they have collaboratively made together. Man, I couldn't spit that out. Which means this is more of a rare piece and potentially could fetch a pretty decent penny at auction if the right buyers are there. The low-end estimates have been around the $3,000 mark, and the high-end estimates have been around 10 grand, so fingers crossed for that 10 grand number, but eventually I'll send this out to an auction company, let them handle everything, and I'll let you guys know whenever this thing ends up selling, but that is the number 6 item for this list. Number 5. Coming in at the 5th spot here is another shirt on the wall. This guy right here, you haven't seen me pick this up because it was never put out on video. This shirt right here isn't special for what it is. It is a pretty decent shirt. It's a Rolling Stone shirt from 1981. It's not a cheap piece by any means, but the reason I have it on this list is because of how I found it. Again, there wasn't a video for this because there wasn't supposed to be. I was on vacation in the middle of Thailand. I was out roaming across Bangkok with Felicia. We were just mopeding around, stopped at a random street market, and this guy was sitting in front of someone's stall, the only vintage t-shirt that he had. I couldn't believe my eyes. I knew I had to get it. It was just one of those things, right place, right time. I couldn't believe this was sitting there. I ended up paying 600 baht for it, which is around 15 bucks US, I think. Like, what's the chances of me seeing a 1981 Rolling Stones t-shirt at a random market in the middle of Thailand? I mean, that's just crazy. So that is why this is the number 5 spot for me, purely because of how I found it. Alright, moving on to the number 4 spot are a couple of items that I found in a church rummage sale. I mean, just check these things out. These are vintage 1997 Warner Brothers Pinky in the Brain statues. I saw them sitting on the floor of this place. They were the first things that caught my eye. They were the first things I grabbed, and they were only $1 a piece. These are another one of those pieces that I really wanted to keep, and I planned on displaying on a shelf as like background from like my YouTube videos and stuff, but after comping them out and realizing that they were pretty rare and worth a pretty penny, I ended up listing them. I listed them high, expecting them to take longer to sell, but they sold in under a month for $500. Over $500 actually. Yeah, the buyer paid 547 bucks for them. That's nuts. But these things were just super cool. I'd never seen anything like them before, and to find them for $1 a piece and to sell them for that much, I mean, it's a cool item, it's a cool sale, it's for a lot of money. That's why it's at the number 4 spot. Coming in at the number 3 spot is another huge lot of toys. It is one of my best finds since I've moved here to Chicago. This was a huge lot of various toys and action figures. And actually, I ended up finding these things in an estate sale company's basement, believe it or not. It was kind of weird. They had like a store-wide sale where everything was 50% off, and they opened up their creepy old basement. They had a bunch of stuff piled in that they were accumulating for years, and these things were just sitting in a couple of boxes down there, 3 boxes, and I ended up buying every single box they had. They were full of Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, Conan the Barbarian, The Mask, a bunch of random figures, and then there were also these 2 like larger statues in there, like the collectible statues. One was a porcelain Mistress of Death that sold for like $100 by itself, and then there was also this giant Mystique statue, really detailed statue, and that thing's worth like $300. I still have that one, but this was just an amazing lot of stuff to find in a basement, and that's why it came in at the number 3 spot. Number 2, my second favorite pickup of the year. I was actually debating on putting this in the number 1 spot, so it was a really close pick, but the number 2 spot goes to this huge vintage clothing haul that I made at the Flea across Florida. On the first day of the sale, I ended up doing pretty decent in the morning, you know, nothing too crazy, nothing to write home about, but the second to last sale of the day that I stopped at was just absolutely nuts. I ended up getting a ton of vintage t-shirts for $1 a piece, and there were some good ones in there, like really good ones. There was old sports t-shirts, old advertising t-shirts, old music t-shirts. Actually, this is one of the shirts right here. This shirt right here, this is one of the shirts that I ended up getting at that sale. This is a vintage 1991 Jerry Jasper shirt. It's an original art piece by him, and he's one of the artists for the Grateful Dead back in the day. So this piece by itself is a rare piece. You don't see this thing. I didn't know what I had at first, but this is like a $300 shirt. And that was just one of the shirts at the sale. There were plenty of band t-shirts and rare t-shirts in there. I didn't know what I had until I got back to the hotel and started comping stuff out. I was blown away by what I saw when I started comping these shirts out. So suffice to say, this was one of my favorite sales of the year to go to. I'll probably end up going to it again in the future, but that pickup right there, That was just crazy. And now for the number one spot. If you've been following my channel for a little bit, or at least since I moved up here to Chicago, you probably know what haul I'm talking about for number one. That is this huge, ginormous, insane video game lot that I picked up from a single estate sale. This haul was absolutely nuts. I probably got 100 or so different items at the sale, and in total everything ended up being worth around $10,000. I mean, there was just some crazy pieces in this thing. I mean, I bought vintage action figures that were worth hundreds of dollars a piece, a ton of old retro video game stuff, consoles and games, GameCube, Atari Jaguar, N64, Super Nintendo, 3DO. I bought a TurboGrafx 16 at this sale, one of my bucket list items to find in the wild. That was there. That was super cool. There were also a bunch of old Apple computer stuff. You know, I didn't buy any of the computers themselves, but I did get some pretty cool posters and paraphernalia from the 80s Apple era. I bought this at that sale. It's something else I've held back for right now just to keep as a prop in the back, a very expensive prop. This is an original iPod in the box. It's probably worth over $1,000, maybe even closer to $2,000, because I'm pretty sure it is new in there. All the stuff is brand new in there. It looks like someone just took the shrink wrap off this thing. That's crazy. This sale was just absolutely nuts. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. If you haven't seen that video, definitely go back and check that out. Actually, down in the description of this video, I'll link all the videos for everything I've talked about today, but if you haven't seen that video in specific, definitely go give it a watch. I mean, it was one of those hauls that is a once-in-a-lifetime haul. It's the kind of haul that you as a reseller dream about. At least me as a reseller, I dream about, because it's everything that I sell was all in one place. It was absolutely crazy. Definitely deserves the number one spot on this list. And that's it. That is my top 10 favorite finds for 2022. And I gotta know, what was your favorite find that you ended up having this year? Tell me what item just stood out above the rest, or what haul that you had stood out above the rest this year in 2022. Let me know down in the comments of this video. I can't wait to see what everybody found. Otherwise though, it's time to move into 2023 and start sourcing this year. If you want to see those videos, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I should be having a bunch coming up. Also, if you did like this video, go down low, smash that like button for me. It really helps me out. Otherwise, Happy New Year. I'll see you in the next one. Till next time, keep on treasure hunting. Peace.